Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. The diplomatic vessel was on routine patrol near the edge of human space when the communication array started beeping frantically. His communications officer, Lieutenant Sam Davis, looked up from his console with wide eyes. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission on the emergency frequency. It's coming from the Galactic Council chambers." Jake had been in space for 15 years, but he had never heard fear in an alien voice before today. The being on the screen was tall and elegant, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer under the harsh lighting of what looked like a war room. This was Ambassador Veltar of the Alterian Republic, one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. "People of Earth," Veltar began, his voice shaking slightly. "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Alterian Republic. We request immediate assistance. From your species, our homeworld faces complete destruction." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. The Alterians were proud warriors who had ruled their sector of space for over 2,000 years. They had never asked anyone for help before, the ambassador continued. 3 years ago, an ancient enemy awakened in the dark spaces between stars. They call themselves the Devourers. They are machines, old beyond measure, and they consume everything. In their path, they strip planets bare and use the materials to build more of themselves. Behind Veltar, Jake could see other Alterian officials moving quickly between workstations. Alarm signals flashed red across their screens. "We have fought them with everything we possess. Our greatest battleships, our most skilled warriors, our most advanced weapons. Nothing stops them. They learn from every battle and grow stronger. We have lost 300 ships, including our mightiest dreadnoughts." Lieutenant Davis quietly sent the transmission to Earth Command, while Jake continued listening. The ambassador's words painted a picture of total war. "The Devourers now surround our homeworld. Our orbital defenses are gone. We estimate 48 hours before they begin harvesting Alteria Prime itself. Billions of our people have nowhere to run." The transmission flickered for a moment as explosions lit up the background behind Veltar. "We know your species is young in galactic terms. We know you have been part of the Council for only 30 years. But you have shown creativity in your short time among the stars. We ask not for charity, but for any aid you can provide, even. Token support would honor our alliance." The screen went dark. Jake immediately contacted Admiral Chris Parker at Earth Command. Within an hour, he received orders to return to Earth at maximum speed. The trip took 2 days, during which reports continued arriving from Alterian space, and the situation grew worse each hour. Captain Lisa Stone was in her quarters aboard the U.S. Phoenix when the emergency call came. She had been reading reports about new engine designs, trying to make her light cruiser even faster. The Phoenix was one of humanity's newest ships, built for speed and maneuverability rather than heavy firepower. "Captain, to the bridge immediately," came the voice of her first officer, Commander Pete Johnson. Lisa arrived to find her senior staff gathered around the tactical display. Lieutenant Commander Alex Bennett, her tactical officer, was studying data streams from the Alterian sector. "What do we have?" Lisa asked. "Orders from Admiral Parker," Pete replied. "We're being assigned to a task force. Emergency deployment to Alterian space." Alex looked up from his console. "Captain, I've been reviewing the Alterian combat reports. These Devourers are unlike anything we've seen before. They attack in perfect formations like a swarm of insects. But they're predictable." Lisa moved closer to examine the tactical data. "What do you mean? Look at these attack patterns." Alex pointed to the screen. "They always approach from the same angles. Always focus fire on the largest targets first. They never retreat, even when tactically sound. It's like they're following a program, because they probably are," added Dr. Karen White, the ship's science officer. "If these are ancient machines, they might be operating on original programming. Artificial intelligence, but not adaptive intelligence." Lisa studied the reports more carefully. Every Alterian defeat followed the same pattern. The aliens had fought bravely, using their traditional tactics of line formations and concentrated firepower. They met the enemy head-on, ship to ship, in the style of warfare they had practiced for centuries. "They're fighting these things like they would fight other organic species," Lisa said slowly. "But machines think differently." At Earth Command headquarters, Admiral Parker stood before a room full of senior officers. The emergency session had been called after receiving full details from the Alterian Republic. "The situation is this," Parker began. "Our allies face extinction. The Galactic Council has made it clear that no other species will intervene. They consider the Devourers too dangerous to engage." Captain Bob Turner of the heavy cruiser U.S. Titan raised his hand. "Sir, if the Alterians can't stop these things with 300 ships, what can we do? Our entire fleet has maybe 50 vessels that could reach their space in time." "That's exactly the point," Admiral Parker replied. "We can't match the Devourers in raw firepower. We can't fight them the way the Alterians did. We need to fight them our way." He activated a holographic display showing the human fleet composition. "I'm authorizing the deployment of Task Force Light. 12 ships all fast. Cruisers and destroyers. Captain Stone will command from the Phoenix." The room erupted in protests. 12 ships? Captain Turner stood up. "Sir, that's barely a patrol group. The Alterians will see it as an insult." "Let them," Parker said firmly. "We're not sending a token force. We're sending exactly what this situation requires. Our ships are fast, our crews are flexible, and we don't fight by the old rules." He looked around the room at the faces of his officers. "The Alterians fought these machines with honor and tradition. They lost. We're going to fight them with cunning and chaos." Captain Stone received her final briefing 3 hours before departure. Her task force consisted of 12 of humanity's most advanced light vessels. Each ship was commanded by officers known for independent thinking and creative problem-solving. "Your mission is to assist the Alterian Republic," Admiral Parker told her. "How you accomplish that is up to you. You have complete tactical freedom, sir. The Alterians are expecting a large fleet when they see 12 ships. They'll think. We don't take the threat seriously," Parker finished. "Let them think that. Surprise is one of our few advantages." As the Phoenix prepared to depart, Lisa gathered her crew in the main assembly area. 150 men and women looked back at her, knowing they were heading into impossible odds. "We're going to help save a civilization," she told them. "Not because we have the biggest guns or the most ships. We're going because we see solutions where others see only problems. The galaxy is about to learn something about humanity." The 12 ships of Task Force Light jumped to hyperspace, beginning their journey to Alterian space. Behind them, Earth continued its normal routine. Most people unaware that humanity's reputation in the galaxy was about to change forever in the depths of space. The Devourers continued their slow, methodical advance toward Alteria Prime, following programming written by a dead civilization eons ago. They had no way of knowing that something completely different was coming to meet them. The hyperspace jump took 6 days. When Task Force Light dropped back into normal space at the edge of the Alterian system, Captain Lisa Stone felt her stomach drop at what she saw on the main screen. 3 of Alteria Prime's 4 moons were gone. Not destroyed, but stripped, completely bare. Where beautiful silver orbs had once orbited the planet, only dark metal frameworks remained. These skeletal structures pulsed with red lights as thousands of Devourer machines worked to build more of their kind. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Commander Alex Bennett from his tactical station. "They're turning the moons into factories." The planet itself was surrounded by a cloud of debris that had once been the mighty Alterian orbital defense platforms. Huge chunks of twisted metal drifted in space like a graveyard of giants. Through this destruction, streams of civilian ships fled the system in panic. Captain called Lieutenant Nathan Cole from communications were being hailed by the Alterian command ship. "It's the heavy cruiser Dawn's Edge." "Put them through," Lisa ordered. The face that appeared on screen was weathered and scarred. General Kethrek, supreme commander of what remained of the Alterian military, looked like he had not slept in weeks. Behind him, Lisa could see the chaos of a mobile command center. "Human vessels," Kethrek said slowly. "We thank you for responding to our call." "How many ships follow behind your advanced scout?" Lisa stood straighter. "General, I am Captain Lisa Stone of the Earth vessel Phoenix. This is the complete human response force. 12 ships under my command." The silence that followed was painful. Kethrak's expression went from hope to confusion to barely hidden anger. 12 ships, he finally said. Captain, perhaps you do not understand our situation. You have lost 300 vessels to these monsters. Our proudest dreadnoughts lie broken in space. You bring 12 small ships? General, we bring what? The situation requires, Lisa replied calmly. We request permission to conduct reconnaissance and coordinate with your remaining forces. Kethrak's image flickered as his ship shook from distant explosions. Very well, Captain, you may dock. With our command ship? But I warn you, we have perhaps 18 hours before the Devourers complete their final preparations. After that, nothing will stop them from harvesting our homeworld. Commander Ryan Foster piloted his destroyer, the UES Vanguard, through the outer asteroid field 2 hours later. His ship was equipped with the most advanced stealth systems in the human fleet. While the other ships met with Alterian commanders, Ryan had volunteered to get close to the enemy. Passive sensors only, he told his crew. We're ghosts out here. The Vanguard drifted silently between asteroids, her engines cold and her hull coated with sensor-absorbing materials. Through his periscope, Ryan watched the Devourer fleet in action. They moved like clockwork. Massive harvester ships, each the size of a city, systematically broke down asteroids and moon fragments. Smaller constructor vessels took the raw materials and assembled them into new Devourer units. Fighter-class machines patrolled in perfect geometric patterns. Sir, whispered his sensor officer, Ensign Lucy Park, I'm counting over 2,000 individual units. They're organized into groups of exactly 100. Each group follows identical movement patterns. Ryan nodded. No variation at all. Like they're all following the same instruction manual. He watched for 3 hours, taking detailed recordings. The patterns never changed. When a patrol group finished its route, it started over from the exact same position. When constructor ships completed a new fighter, they released it at precisely the same trajectory every time. They're incredibly efficient, Ryan said to himself, but completely predictable. Back aboard the Dawn's Edge, Captain Stone sat in a meeting that was going poorly. General Kethrak had assembled his remaining senior officers, and they were not impressed with the human battle plan. You suggest we abandon defensive positions? Asked Commander Velka, captain of the only other surviving Alterian cruiser. We should scatter our forces instead of concentrating firepower? That's exactly what I suggest, Lisa replied. Your traditional tactics play to their strengths. They expect large formations that they can overwhelm with numbers. Our tactics have protected Alterian space for 2 millennia, Kethrak said firmly. We fight with honor, facing our enemies directly. Dr. Amy Carter, the chief scientist from the research vessel U.S. Discovery, has been quietly reviewing Devourer wreckage that the Alterians had collected. She looked up from her portable analysis unit. General, may I show you something? She asked politely. Amy activated a holographic display showing the internal structure of a Devourer fighter. These machines communicate through quantum entanglement. Every unit is connected to every other unit instantaneously. But look at this. She highlighted specific components. They have no individual decision-making systems. Each machine can only follow pre-programmed responses. They're incredibly advanced, but they can't adapt to unexpected situations. What does this mean? Asked Velka. It means they're only as smart as their original programming, Lisa explained. They can handle any situation their creators anticipated. But throw them something completely new, and they can't cope. Lieutenant Commander Alex Bennett joined the conversation. We've studied their attack patterns from your combat recordings. They always target the largest ship first. They always attack from the same angles. They never retreat, even when outnumbered. Because they were programmed to fight civilizations like yours, Lisa continued. Species that fight with large fleets. In organized formations, they've never encountered anything like human tactical doctrine. General Kethrak looked skeptical. Human tactical doctrine? You've been in space for 30 years? What can you know about warfare that we do not? Captain Stone smiled sadly. General, humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned some hard lessons about survival. Sometimes the best way to win is to refuse to fight the way your enemy expects. Dr. Carter pulled up another display. We think we can disrupt their quantum communication network. If we can introduce false information into their systems, we might. be able to confuse them. Turn their greatest strength into a weakness, added Alex. Their perfect coordination depends on perfect information. Give them imperfect information, and their coordination breaks down. Commander Ryan Foster returned from his reconnaissance mission with detailed scans of Devourer positions. The data confirmed what the humans suspected. The enemy fleet was powerful, but inflexible. They have overlapping patrol routes, Ryan reported to the assembled officers. But there are gaps in their coverage, small windows where fast ships could penetrate their lines undetected. Small ships, Kethrak repeated with distaste. You want to nibble at them like scavengers instead of meeting them in honest battle. General, Lisa said gently, honest battle got 300 of your ships destroyed. We're suggesting dishonest battle. Human-style warfare. As the meeting continued, younger Alterian officers began asking more questions about human tactics. Commander Velka seemed particularly interested in the concept of independent operations. Your ships operate without constant coordination? She asked. Each captain has complete authority to adapt to changing situations, Lisa explained. Trust our people to make good decisions with incomplete information. This concept seemed to shock the Alterians. Their military tradition emphasized strict hierarchy and detailed battle plans. Lieutenant Nathan Cole had been working with Alterian communication officers to establish joint frequencies. The cultural differences were striking. Alterian orders were formal and detailed. Human communications were brief and flexible. Sir, the Devourers are beginning their final approach, Nathan reported. Estimated time to planetary bombardment, 16 hours. General Kethrak stood slowly. Captain Stone, I do not understand your methods. They seem chaotic and unprofessional. But we have no other options. My ships will follow your lead. General, I need your ships to do more than follow. I need them to think independently, to adapt when plans change. Can your people do that? The old general looked at her for a long moment. Captain, you are asking us to abandon everything we believe about warfare. Sir, Lisa replied, we're asking you to trust us, and to trust your own people to be more than they think they can be. Outside the meeting room windows, the first elements of the Devourer fleet began moving toward Alteria Prime. Thousands of mechanical killers advanced in perfect formation, following programming written by a long-dead civilization. They had no way of knowing that they were about to encounter something their creators had never imagined. Humans who refused to fight fair. The Devourer fleet moved like a dark tide across space. 2,000 mechanical ships advanced in perfect geometric formations toward Alteria Prime. Each group of 100 moved in identical patterns, their metal hulls gleaming under the systems. Twin suns. General Kethrak watched from the bridge of the Dawn's Edge as the enemy approached. All ships, prepare for final defense positions. We will make our stand here between them and our homeworld. Negative, General, came Captain Stone's voice over the communication system. All human ships, execute Operation Firefly. Alterian vessels, you are free to engage when ready. Instead of forming a defensive line, the 12 human ships scattered in different directions. To the Alterians, it looked like the humans were running away. What are they doing? Demanded Commander Velka from her ship's bridge. Captain Lisa. Stone guided the Phoenix toward the edge of the enemy formation. Her tactical officer, Alex Bennett, was monitoring Devourer communications. Target confirmed, Alex reported. Communication relay. Grid 77 Alpha. It's controlling approximately 50 units. Lock weapons and fire, Lisa ordered. The Phoenix's pulse cannon struck the relay ship with surgical precision. The vessel exploded in a bright flash, and immediately 50 Devourer fighters began spinning randomly through space. Were no longer receiving orders. Across the battlefield, the other human ships were doing the same thing. Instead of attacking the main Devourer forces, they targeted communication nodes, supply vessels, and isolated units. Commander Danny Wright piloted the fast attack ship UAS Sparrow through a gap in the Devourer patrol pattern. His ship was the smallest in the human fleet, built for speed and stealth rather than fighting. Electronic warfare package ready, reported his systems officer, Lieutenant Carol Mills. Take us in close to that command ship, Danny ordered. The Sparrow raced toward a massive Devourer vessel that was coordinating an entire sector of the enemy fleet. At the last moment, Danny fired his electronic warfare missiles directly into the ship's communication array. Package delivered. Carol announced with satisfaction. The virus began spreading through the Devourer quantum network immediately. False. Orders flooded their systems. Ships that had been advancing suddenly received commands to retreat. Others were told to attack their own allies. Dr. Amy Carter watched the results from her research ship, the UES Discovery. "It's working," she called out excitedly. "Their coordination is breaking down. Look at Sector 4. On her screens, an entire formation of Devourer ships had stopped advancing and begun attacking each other. Unable to distinguish between real and false orders, the Devourers tried to adapt. Their programming allowed for some tactical flexibility, and they began splitting into smaller groups to reduce the impact of communication disruption. "Perfect," Lisa said with a smile. "They're doing exactly what we wanted." By dividing their forces, the Devourers had given up their greatest advantage, overwhelming numbers in concentrated formations. Now they were fighting as smaller units, which meant human tactics could be more effective. "Major Kelly?" Shaw commanded the Marine unit aboard the assault transport U.S. Falcon. While the other ships fought at long range, her job was to get close and personal with the enemy. "Boarding party ready," she reported to her captain, Commander Joe Franklin. The Falcon approached a damaged Devourer constructor ship that had been isolated from its escorts. Kelly's Marines used small shuttles to board the enemy vessel, while it was distracted by attacks from other human ships. "Okay, people," Kelly told her team as they cut through the constructor's hull. "We plant the virus bombs in their main computer cores and get out fast. These things don't take prisoners." The interior of the Devourer's ship was like a mechanical nightmare. Grotic arms worked constantly to build new fighters while automated defense systems tried to stop the human intruders. Sergeant Tim Baker and his squad fought their way to the primary processing center while Kelly's team targeted the secondary systems. The Marines moved fast, using their training in close-quarters combat to stay ahead of the ship's defenses. "Virus bombs planted," Baker reported. "This ship is going to have some very bad data to share with its friends." When the infected constructor rejoined the Devourer fleet, it began transmitting corrupted information to every ship it communicated with. The virus spread like a disease through their quantum network. General Kethrick watched the battle with growing amazement. The human ships danced through space like fireflies, never staying in one place long enough for the Devourers to target them effectively. Every attack was precise and unexpected. "Commander Velka," he called to his fellow captain, "do you see what they're doing?" "They're fighting like no one I've ever seen," Velka replied. "No. They turned the enemy's strength against them." But some of the younger Alterian officers began copying human tactics. Lieutenant Zextar of the patrol ship Swiftwind started making hit-and-run attacks instead of standing and fighting. "Swiftwind to Dawn's Edge," he reported excitedly. "I just destroyed 3 enemy ships without taking any damage. These human tactics actually work." Commander Velka made a decision that went against everything she had been taught. Instead of maintaining formation with the Dawn's Edge, she broke away to coordinate with the human ship UES Vanguard. "Captain Foster," she called to Ryan, "my ship requests permission to join your attack pattern." Ryan grinned. "Welcome to the dance, Commander. Follow my lead and stay flexible." The cooperation between human and Alterian ships began producing dramatic results. Velka's cruiser had much heavier weapons than the human destroyer, while the Vanguard had superior speed and sensors. Together, they could hit harder and move faster than either could alone. Dr. Carter continued analyzing the Devourer response patterns. "Captain Stone, they're trying to adapt, but their programming has limits. Every time they change tactics, they create new vulnerabilities." "Understood," Lisa replied. Phase 2 of Operation Firefly. Target their adaptation centers. Human fleet shifted focus to the specialized Devourer ships that were trying to analyze human tactics. These vessels contained the most advanced processing systems in the enemy fleet, but they were also the most vulnerable to electronic warfare. Commander Danny Wright led another daring attack run, this time targeting a massive analysis ship at the center of the Devourer formation. His electronic warfare systems flooded it with so much false data that its processors overloaded completely. Their analysis capability is down, Amy reported. They can't adapt anymore. They're stuck with their current programming. The tide of battle began to turn dramatically. Confused by false orders, divided into smaller formations, and unable to adapt to human tactics. The Devourer fleet started making critical mistakes. Ships that should have been protecting supply lines instead attacked empty space. Fighters that should have been screening larger vessels flew directly into Alterian gun ranges. Constructor ships began building units that immediately turned on each other due to conflicting programming. Major Shaw's Marines had boarded and infected 12 Devourer ships. Each one became a source of confusion, spreading corrupted data throughout the enemy network. General Captain Stone called to Kethrak. Now would be a good time for a coordinated assault. Their command structure is collapsing, Kethrak understood. All Alterian ships advance and engage. Show these machines what happens when you threaten our world. The surviving Alterian vessels charged forward, but not in their traditional rigid formations. Inspired by human tactics, they moved in flexible groups, supporting each other while maintaining independence. Commander Velka found herself fighting alongside 3 human ships in a complex weaving pattern that confused the Devourers completely. Her heavy guns provided the firepower, while the human ships provided the mobility and electronic warfare support. "This is incredible," she called out as her weapons destroyed a Devourer cruiser that had been paralyzed by human virus attacks. "Why did we never fight this way before?" "Because," came Ryan Foster's voice over the communication link, "you never needed to before. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find a better way." The Devourer fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was now in complete chaos. Their perfect coordination had become perfect confusion. Their overwhelming numbers had become a liability as they attacked each other based on false information. But the battle was not over yet. Deep in the enemy formation, the largest Devourer ships were beginning to shut down their communication links entirely, trying to isolate themselves from the spreading virus. These vessels still posed a massive threat to Alteria Prime. "All ships," Lisa announced, "prepare for Phase 3. It's time to finish this." The largest Devourer ships began cutting their communication links one by one. These massive vessels, each the size of a small moon, stopped receiving data from their smaller allies. They moved forward on their original programming, ignoring the chaos around them. Captain Lisa Stone watched 12 giant Devourer command ships advance toward Alteria Prime, even without their support fleet. These monsters carried enough firepower to destroy the planet's surface. "They're learning," she said grimly. "They've isolated themselves from our virus attacks." Dr. Amy Carter studied the sensor readings from her research ship. "Captain, those command ships still need to coordinate with each other somehow. Can't operate completely independently." "You're right," Lisa realized. "They must have a primary command vessel." "Find it." The electronic warfare ship, U.S. Ghost, commanded by Captain Ben Morris, had been working quietly at the edge of the battle. His ship was equipped with the most advanced stealth and hacking systems in the human fleet. "Ghost to Phoenix," Ben called. "I've been tracking quantum signatures. There's a supermassive command ship at the center of their formation. It's coordinating the big ships through a separate network." Lisa looked at her tactical display. The primary command ship was surrounded by 6 layers of defenders and protected by energy shields that could stop anything in the human arsenal. "Ben, that ship is impossible to approach directly." "Not impossible," Ben replied with a grin. "Just very difficult. Give me 30 minutes and keep those defenders busy." Captain Morris guided the Ghost through the wreckage of destroyed Devourer ships. His vessel's stealth systems made it nearly invisible, and the chaos of battle provided perfect cover. Slowly, carefully, he approached the massive command vessel. Meanwhile, the combined human and Alterian fleet engaged the command ship's defenders. Commander Velka had fully adopted human tactics, leading her cruiser in wild spiraling attacks that confused the mechanical defenders. These machines expect straight-line attacks, she called out excitedly as her ship dodged return fire. They cannot handle unpredictable movement. General Kethrek watched from the dawn's edge as his forces fought with renewed energy. Formations were gone, replaced by flexible groups that supported each other while maintaining freedom to maneuver. All ships, continue harassment attacks, he ordered. Keep their attention focused outward. The Ghost slipped through the defensive. Layers like smoke. Ben's crew worked silently, knowing that one mistake would bring the entire Devourer fleet down on them. Approaching target, whispered Lieutenant Sarah Beck from the sensor station. Enemy shields are at maximum strength. That's what I was hoping for, Ben replied. Shields work both ways. They keep things out, but they also keep things in. The Ghost attached itself to the command ship's hull using magnetic grapples. Ben's engineer, Chief Petty Officer Mark Johnson, began cutting through the outer armor with a precision laser. Breach in 30 seconds, Mark reported quietly. Once we're inside, we'll have maybe 10 minutes before their security systems find us, Ben told his crew. Upload the logic bomb and get out fast. Dr. Carter had designed the logic bomb specifically for this moment.
Lie.
The viruses that had confused the smaller ships. This weapon was designed to overload the command ship's central processing system. Remember, Amy had told Ben before the mission, this ship controls all the others. If we can make it give contradictory orders to itself, the feedback loop will destroy its ability to function. Ben's team cut through the command ship's hull and entered a vast chamber filled with processing cores. The technology was beyond anything humans had ever seen, but the basic principles were still recognizable. Find the central node, Ben ordered. It'll be the biggest, most protected system. They moved through corridors filled with mechanical defenders, but the robots were programmed to repel boarding actions from the outside, not infiltrators who were already inside. Lieutenant Beck located the central processing core.
It's
Huge. The computing power in this room could run an entire civilization. And it's about to have a very bad day, Ben replied. Connecting his logic bomb to the core's input systems, the weapon began its work immediately. Instead of trying to destroy the command ship's systems, it fed them contradictory information about their own identity and mission. Back outside, the battle raged as human and Alterian ships continued their harassment attacks. The defenders were beginning to show signs of confusion as their command signals became unreliable. Commander? Targeting the communication relays that connected the command ship to its defenders. If we can isolate that ship completely, their logic bomb will work even better. Major Kelly Shaw's Marines had captured an entire Devourer constructor ship and were using it as a mobile base. We've got their construction codes, she reported. We're programming their own factories to build defective fighters. Psychological effect on the Devourers was devastating. Ships that should have been reliable allies became sources of danger. Fighters built by captured constructors turned on their creators immediately after activation. Captain Stone called Commander Ryan. Foster from the Vanguard, the big ships are slowing down. Their coordination is breaking apart. Lisa watched as the 12 massive command ships began displaying erratic behavior. Some continued toward the planet, while others stopped completely. 2 of them actually began firing on each other. Inside, the primary command ship, Ben's logic bomb, was creating havoc. The ship's computers were trying to process information that contradicted itself. The central processor was caught in an endless loop, trying to execute orders that canceled each other out. Sir, Beck reported urgently, their security systems are converging on our position. We need to leave now. Ben's team fought their way back to the Ghost, but not before the logic bomb had done its work. The command ship's central processor was overloading, sending increasingly desperate commands to its subordinates. Dr. Carter monitored the results from her research vessel. The cascade failure is spreading, she announced excitedly. The command ship is trying to process too much contradictory data. Its systems are shutting down one by one. The effect rippled through the Devourer fleet like a plague. Ships that had been advancing suddenly stopped. Others began spinning in circles. Some started consuming their own support vessels in a desperate Attempt to acquire enough processing power to handle the information overload. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel, Lisa ordered. It's vulnerable now. The combined human and Alterian fleet focused their attacks on the massive command ship. Without its defensive coordination, the vessel's shields began failing under concentrated bombardment. General Kethrak led the final assault personally. For Alteria, he called as the Dawn's Edge fired its main guns directly into the command ship's core. The explosion when the command ship died was visible from the planet's surface. The massive vessel broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions, taking with it the central intelligence that had coordinated the entire Devourer fleet. Without their command structure, the remaining Devourer ships became completely helpless. Individual units continued to function, but they could no longer coordinate their actions. Many simply shut down completely. Overwhelmed by the contradictory data still flowing through their quantum networks, Commander Velka led the cleanup operations, hunting down the last functional Devourer ships with enthusiasm. "I understand now," she called to Captain Stone. "We were fighting their strength. You taught us to fight their weakness." Within 6 hours, the threat to Alteria Prime was completely eliminated. The planet was safe, and the Devourer fleet was nothing but scrap metal drifting in space. Captain Stone stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, looking out at the rescued world. Lieutenant Nathan Cole was receiving messages from across the galaxy. "Captain, we're getting communication requests from 17 different civilizations," Nathan reported. "They all want to know about our military tactics." "And from the Galactic Council," added Alex Bennett. "They're requesting a full briefing on human combat doctrine." General Kethrak contacted the Phoenix directly. "Captain Stone, the Alterian Republic wishes to establish permanent military exchange programs with Earth. We have much to learn from your people." Lisa smiled. "General, I think we have much to learn from each other." Dr. Carter was already analyzing the captured Devourer technology. "Captain, this equipment could advance our understanding of quantum mechanics by centuries. The Alterians want to share everything we've learned." 3 weeks later, Admiral Parker received a message from Commander Jake Morrison aboard the Horizon. The diplomatic vessel was now permanently stationed in Alterian space, coordinating between human and alien military advisors. Admiral Jake reported, "The Galactic Council has officially redesignated humanity's military threat assessment. We're no longer considered a minor power? What are they calling us now?" Parker asked. "Strategic military consultants, apparently. Half the galaxy wants to hire human tactical advisors." The Admiral laughed. "And it all started because we sent a light fleet instead of a heavy one." Back in the Alterian system, the 12 ships of Task Force Light were preparing to return to Earth, but they were no longer alone.